friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. I'm here with a card I'm making for the Make the Cards challenge, and it is a color challenge. These are the 4 colors in this week's color challenge. So I'm kind of excited about this because these are springy cards, and I decided I would make a fun fold card with a belly band and use a little mixed media. I've decided to go ahead and use the blue card as my card base, so I have this cut at 5.5 by 11, so I'm going to score it at 2 inches and then at 6.25 inches. And then I'm going to cut it off so it is 2 inches from that last line I just scored. So I'm just putting the scored line there and measuring out 2 inches. So each of those side flaps is 2 inches. They don't quite meet in the middle, but that wasn't my intention anyway. So I decided I would make them triangles. So I'm just using my ruler and I'm measuring 2 3/4 and putting a line at 2 3/4, which is basically the center of that dimension of the card. So I'll do that to both of the flaps, just putting a little mark at 2 3/4, and I'm going to use that to just take my big Tim Holtz 9-inch shears. I love these things. You get one big cut, and I'm going to cut from the fold line to that mark I just made. So I end up with 2 little triangular pieces, and it's not going to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, close your 2 flaps and then measure them at the same time so that you put your mark at exactly the same spot. So I created this little image, and I'm excited because I'm using some new Sassy and Crafty stuff that I recently got, and I'm going to use this stencil. It's called the Bouncy Path stencil, and it coordinates with 2 of the stamp sets they came out with in March. One is called Stuck on You, and one is called Love in an Envelope. And the image I used is from Love in an Envelope. And I want to do just some fun mixed media on this. So I'm grabbing a couple of Distress Oxide colors, and I'm going to use Twisted Citron, and I have Dusty Concord. So the Twisted Citron I squished on my mat and spritzed it, and then I'm going to dry this, because if you dry that layer that you just dragged the cardstock through, and this is watercolor card, by the way, but if you dry it between layers, then you get some really nice dimension on this. So I'm going to do this like at least 3 times so I get all of that ink used up. I don't want to waste that fun color. So I'm getting some, I'm putting one layer on top of the other, and you can see the different layers as you go along. And now I'm down to the little dots, which is sort of making like a splatter effect on the top of this. And again, I'll dry it, and then I'm going to add some really pretty Vicky Bouton. She's got this iridescent glaze. I don't know if the iridescent glaze is still available, but I love her glazes. And this particular one almost looks silvery when you take it out. I want to make it purple. So I'm going to take that Dusty Concord, and I'm going to smoosh some of that Dusty Concord on my Teflon mat here. I love this Teflon mat. It is always on my desk, and this is actually a brand new one that I got. I think I got it in November, and you can see it's already pretty well loved. I do so much mixed media. So I just scooped a little bit of that iridescent glaze out, and you could use texture paste or embossing paste or gesso or molding paste, anything. You could use the Gina K Glitz Glitter Gel if you wanted to, and I know she's got that in various colors. So I'm just putting that fantastic Bouncy Path stencil down, and now I'm going to put this through the Bouncy Path stencil. And I think I love that this is going to give a little dimension and texture to my card, and anytime I can use mixed media, I do. So I am going to put that aside, and you can see that that actually looks kind of fun. Those 2 colors together are pretty fun. Now, of course, I'm not going to waste the stuff on my desk, so I'm going to scrape that up, and I have just a regular white piece of paper next to me, and I'm going to put that put that stencil back down on that white piece of paper, and I'm just going to use the rest of that up on a white piece of paper. Excuse me. And then I'll put that aside to dry. And while it's drying, because it's pretty humid here today, so I'm going to go for a bike ride. So my bike ride will last about 30 minutes, and it'll take me about 10 minutes to get my shoes and my helmet and check under my seat for snakes. So I always check to make sure there are no snakes wrapped around the bike anywhere. So once I came back, everything was dry. So I'm just going to use my favorite go-to old Tombow multi liquid glue. I love this stuff. It's got wiggle room, and I can put that down right in the center of the card. And I have a sentiment that I created and just die cut. I just stamped that in black and cut it out on my trimmer. It's called handwritten. It says handwritten letters are love in an envelope. I think that's super fun because I can actually tuck a letter inside this as well. So, or I'll tuck it in the envelope. So I have this band that I cut from the purple, and I scored that at, it's scored at 3 and then at basically 7.5 or 4.5 inches from the first score line. And then I just folded it over my card to make sure it fit. And I wanted there to be a little wiggle room so somebody sliding that off could slide it off. And I added glue just under where the flaps are going to overlap. And I'll just put a clear block on it for a little while. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach this focal image to the front, and again I'm going to use my clear glue, and I'm going to attempt to center that on that purple belly band. And by the way, that is cut at 1.25 by 8 and no 1.25 by 11. I don't know if I said that. So I'll just center that in on here, and this is the reason why I use this particular glue for this kind of stuff, because it really does give me wiggle room. Not all liquid glues do. So I'm pulling out my Maker Forte crown jewel gems, and these are the shaped gems, and they're a really fun shaped heart. They're not like a perfect heart. It's got a little bend in it. I really like it. It's like a funky shaped heart. So I'm going to put 3 of these down, and I'm using these, I think they're called in the hook tweezers. They have this skinny little hooked end, and they are the best things I've ever found to pick up gems. Then I've got the Maker Forte matching, I call it the magic wand. It's their jewel picker on one end, and there's a craft pick on the other end, and it is wonderful for actually putting jewels on. You can see the hook there, and that Maker Forte Teflon bone folder is fantastic. So I'll put the links to everything below here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put the links to the Make the Cards Challenge so you could join us this week. We would love to have you join us. And I would love it if you subscribed, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, and click that bell to get notifications every time I upload a video. Thanks for watching, friends.